Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
Holy Testicle Tuesday
was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Oh, look at it roll. Now we can watch Jackie Gleason while we eat.
You are invited to enter a world of enchantment. The world of Falkor and Atreyu. Inglewood and the Rockbiter. I'm very pleased to meet all of you. Creatures of a boy's imagination. Brought to life by the magic of the never-ending story. Rated PG. Now playing. Check newspapers for a theater near you.
Okay, I would say if nothing else, every movie would be made better with just having the roided out, uber buff, Asian henchman.
A Bolo-verse is what you're saying.
Didn't I say you when I was in the Vietnams?
Run, Forrest! Run!
Shampoo cleans the hair. No, conditioner is better. I keep the hair gorilla sexy and smooth. Really, Donkey Kong, really.
Hey, you guys!
Aha! Showtime!
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And yes, it is that insane around here because it's Tuesday. It's time to talk hard. And yeah, if you're not caught up on the Bolo-verse references, you got work to do. I do the best I can. Loki was smiling. It doesn't let you unmute the way the other service does. So we couldn't hear Loki laughing out loud. But yeah, it's pretty good stuff, man. It was Bolo stuff will live on. Bolo's living on, I think. We got to come up with something every week. I don't know. We'll see. Uh-oh, you're still muted.
I said Bolo will be in everything from now on. He's the entire universe of nothing but Bolo movies.
Yeah, Bolo-verse. Bolo-verse indeed. Hope you're doing well, brother. Hope things are going all right. Thanks for coming and hanging out to talk this 40 years of never-ending story, my friend.
40 years of never-ending story, Transformers, all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you for having me. And it should be fun. Great movie. Absolutely great movie.
A lot of fun, and I've just been such a great time reminiscing about this. Been able to watch it again with the missus. You and I talked about it briefly on the phone. Just a fun movie and a great way to get through. And we have a great special guest with us, Luis Sparrow's in the house. Luis, thanks for coming and hanging out with us, man. Talk about this classic fantasy film from the 80s.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
It's one of my childhood favorites.
Is it? Were you able to see this when you were young, or what? How old were you when you saw this? Was it when first came out, or was it later on VHS or cable, or?
It would have been on VHS, so it would have been a couple of years after the US because back then the UK was 2-3 years behind in its releases, but it was around the right time.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, this came out in the summer of '84. Came out in Germany. It's a German film. Came out in Germany first. I vaguely remember seeing it in the theater. I'm a little older, so at 14 years old, it wouldn't have been quite as this was a big issue with my wife when I watching this because it really hit her a lot more than I. And I'm like, I think that's why. I think I was just a little bit older. I've always had a fun appreciation for the film, and then as I've gotten older, the technology, the puppeteering, the budget, all the things they were able to accomplish way ahead of its time for a small studio like that is just remarkable. So
just look at that first scene you see with the ivory tower, and you're like, how did they pull this off? How did they do this? How yet no CGI, no computers, no nothing, and it looks better than a lot of the crap we have today. So
yeah, they just have a lot of great elements that really do work. I have to be honest, this is just a fun tale and fun film to revisit. So let's say hello to this wonderful chat. Say hello to Snorty. He's up here first. I'll hold the door open for everybody. Say hello to the humans and all the other critters. Hail to you, Snorty, you lovely polar bear. Hope you're doing well. Here's this lovely Louise Sparrow lady. Great to have her with us. Claude Salin's in the house. Great to see you, brother. And Fred sticking off saying, yep, fantastic movie. Indeed, we all agree. This was a fun one that kind of was earmarked a long time ago, going through the anniversaries for this year. It was one of the ones like kind of front and center. Yeah, love this movie. It's a fun one. Watch it with the wife, watch it with my kids, watch it with my grandkids now. So yeah, it's been a big deal for sure. So there are a lot of different versions of this. Indeed, I don't have, but sort of like a generic version that has maybe 2 versions on it. So I'm assuming by now they've released, you know, all the alternative versions that exist. I actually only have like, I think 2 on the one disc. So we'll see. Loki, do you have like is there 4K of this? Is like 16 versions of this movie or something I should know about?
I think there's a Blu-ray set you can get, but you can't. You gotta like import it. That has a bunch of cool stuff on it like that. I think the 4K is just the normal 4K. That's what I watched, and it's the same movie. I didn't see anything new in it. So,
gotcha. Okay. I'm sorry, folks. I was able to do the gifting of the 5 membership things, but my YouTube chat thing closed. The channel is up, and I'm able to keep track of it in case it is I have a tech issue or something like that. I'll know, but I can't see the 5 people that got it. I know Daryl Derelick was in there, Angry Canadian, James Sequential Treasures, and a couple other folks. Sorry, welcome aboard. Hopefully you guys can enjoy some of the sneak previews of stuff, because there's a few clips already up and you'll have more access to other stuff as it drops. So feel free to check that out, and just thank you all for being part of this whole experience. So with that, NeverEnding Story, just a fun so you have sort of some of the 80s tropes. Let's get some of that out of the way. You have well, wait, before we get into this, he made it again at the wire. The man, the myth, legend himself, Ironcaster is in the house. What's going on, brother? How you doing? You staying warm? Things are going good?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it, but yes, I am doing my best to stay warm up here in the frozen tundra of the north, though maybe not as far north as those Canucks are. But you know, it's the kind of weather like this makes you really want to stay inside and go watch a comfort movie.
Well, this was probably one of those comfort movies. I know it is for us. NeverEnding Story, just, you know, that fun fantasy stuff that taps into our child imaginations and really touched our hearts as we were kids. So super, super good. So Fred's pointed out how there's basically like 2 different movies. So you've got the first one with Bastian, bullies, and all that kind of stuff before you get into the stories of Fantasia and the fantasy. So totally true. So with that, let's get right to it. So 80s tropes, you know, sad kid because dad's kind of a jerk, mom's not there, you know, we have those kinds of things. He's the buck up kind of, you know, buck up dad, you know, give him that kind of speech, rubbing the head. Then as Fred pointed out, you know, running from the bullies, which is again, lots of this in the 80s. We had a lot of this kind of stuff in the 80s. He just happens to wander into this eccentric bookstore to meet this guy, and they find this one book. And I loved sort of the anti-video game speech, even in 1984. Like that was something, huh? Like that was crazy having that had popping up back then.
No pew pew, no. What does he say? He's like no laser blast sounds.
Yeah.
Or he says something like that. Yeah.
It was fun. And I will admit there is sort of that obsession in that time frame with the arcades and people that would just, you know, whatever, and the lack of reading was happening to a certain extent. You know, I'm just as guilty. I couldn't really get into a lot of reading at that age. I was still struggling to really get into it. Didn't really enjoy it as much until
when he starts telling him how many books he's read. Yeah, that was dorky Loki back in the day. That was, right. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
All the good shit. Treasure Island.
Yeah. A lot of he says to me, like, you know, you got to do a little effort on your part, right? None of those beep beep beeps and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, it's good. It's super interesting to have that in things. And then you move quickly into back at school. There's more bully references before he's suddenly there with his book in the imagination. I think that it was one of those things where it's tapping into so many interesting elements of world building that we enjoy now more than we ever, because we need more of this. We want more world building between the rock biters and all the other stuff that's going on. You're just like, what is going on with this movie? What are all these creatures? This fantastical land? Anything that jumps out at you, Ironcaster, in this early step of just the world being introduced that you're just like, man, this is what got me hooked in.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing to commend with this film is just how strong the visuals are, the practical effects, these creative monsters, the racing snail, the rock biter. There's so many of these just far out there elements you can't help but fall in love with. Like, they were so well designed. They look like real living creatures. And it's the thing that always sticks with us. Like, I have a friend to this day who will always go on about big, strong hands.
How about you, Luis? Was there a certain character or a certain thing in these early phases of Fantasia that kind of jumped out at you and it really struck you, or is it that come later?
No, but I love that kind of puppetry and the effects. Even back, I mean, obviously when you're watching it, you're not thinking about it as being effects, but at the same time, I just love to see what they could do. I was the sort that would be watching the behind the scenes and anything that came across if you get a special on TV. So I was immediately hooked in just by all of the visuals here.
Yeah, I think that we had gotten a special anniversary screening, a while ago, and it went into the puppeteering, how far ahead they were, and all the technological struggles they were having. It is a little remarkable to think about all that, right, Loki? We talk about, it's a small German studio. We don't really put them front and center when it comes to technological advances in cinema.
And look at it. Look at what they were able to come up with. This is problem solving at like a key level of how Hollywood used to be. We're not even dealing with Hollywood. We're dealing with a studio in another country. So these guys came up with inventive, wonderful ways of doing what they do, using modeling, using things they had access to. They didn't try and rewrite the script or recreate the wheel. They used what they had, and look at it. Look at it. Like I said earlier, look at that opening shot of Fantasia. Look at the opening shot of the ivory tower. It's absolutely mind-boggling that you're looking at something they physically made, lighted. It looks perfect on film. It looks like it's really there, because it is really there. It's not some cheap BS they did on a computer. They obviously put a lot of care and love into this, and it shows. And that's all you got to do. Really, that at the end of the day, that's all you have to do to make a movie like this, is give it the love and care it deserves. We'll notice. We do. We've noticed our whole lives. That's why we love these movies.
Yeah, it's so great. And the racing snail reference always kind of makes me laugh to this day. Kind of made me chuckle.
It's a racing snail.
It's a race. I can't wait for a snail. Oh no, it's a racing snail. And zoom away he goes. And there gives him a little nugget, and he just takes off. So fantastic stuff. And then we get introduced, again, like you were saying, these beautiful visuals. Really,
it's the stuff you hold up as wallpaper porn. The stuff you just give me the screenshot. This is my background. It is unlike anything else.
Yeah, the stuff that we get here with the introduction and the different characters and how exotic everything feels. These giant heads. I was still just blown away at this sequence and the visuals, like you were saying. Like, I kept pausing and talking to the missus about it. Louise, this has aged very, very well, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah. There's a few little bits where you can see it could have. Well, I'd say it could be done better these days, but actually they don't do it better these days. So, in fact, the image of the Gamork was something that we discussed on our win stream when we were looking at Rings of Power, because quite honestly, it's still scarier when you watch that sequence than what they're making now in those shows.
That is very, very true. That is very true. I'm always comparing this movie to the series Once Upon a Time because it involves a young boy, reads a storybook, discovers it more than just a story. True. There's a lot of the storybook stuff. I mean, even something like Princess Bride has some of those elements. So this kind of carries on in a lot of movies in a lot of different ways. And it seems like some of those are just classics for us that experienced them in our youth. And I wonder how that'll translate for the next generations. So obviously use some forced perspective and matte paintings, but man, it looks so clean. I agree. I think that this stuff, yeah, Pat, it does really, really hold up well. I mean, let's face it, guys. When we talked about Halo back in the day, this makes Halo like just laughably like better than Halo. This is insane. I don't know. This is crazy.
I mean, the thing is, a lot of it hints at such a wider world, but it doesn't stay on it too long to really make you like overstay its welcome. It all exists here to lead you to suggest, like, if all these crazy characters are here, what else is going to be in this world of Fantasia? And you never quite get a whole lot of answers, but there's a lot of suggestion, which is all the more tragic considering the story is ultimately about how it's all being swallowed up by the nothing.
True. But I mean, let's face it, like this is Moses Gunn as Chiron. Look how great his makeup and stuff is. Look, I mean, there's part of me that's like, I mean, I know who this is, but there's also part of me that this could have easily been Keith David or anyone else from that era. It's done so well. He just disappears. It's incredible. Great makeup, great costumes, great design, everything. Just really did, I think, holds up really well. And I know you're saying, Luis, I think I do understand the CGI stuff and whatever, but I think we'll lose so much of that effect of it feeling real because it's an actual real set, and they do this green screen stuff and stuff in a volume, and it's just we lose so much of that.
Yeah.
We move quickly into meeting our hero. So Atreyu is here, young man who's front and center of stepping up to the plate, being that kind of archetype, and the young hero that can be a role model to kids, and then off he goes on his adventure. And now we're going to follow him through that. And we get our first introduction to his lovely stallion, his lovely horse. So, Loki, you're a big fan of that horse. And we talked about that briefly.
Oh, yeah. So for someone who rode a lot when they were a kid, yeah, this is like heartbreaking. I remember watching this for the first time and just it's yeah. Everybody cried at some point when Artax died.
It was a death that traumatized the whole generation. And
yes,
especially for someone who came after I was born in '89. This is one of those movies that I would get on. We would watch in school, or we would watch on VHS. This death affected so many in a way that Optimus Prime had done the same time, but the thing is, it was one that was able to do it better.
Yeah,
it's the death of an animal, of a horse, and we always care more for the animals than people.
It's a truly remarkable scene too. Artax is lowered on basically like an elevator type of machinery they put there, and he just kind of gets being lowered little by little. The wife got really emotional even watching this now. Luis, did it hit you in the feels a little bit? You can tell.
Every time. Yeah.
Every time.
In fact, I did watch one of the special features, and they showed that the director, he was also crying his eyes out while he was watching him film it. So I don't think it's possible to not be affected by that.
Yeah, it's really, really, really done well. And you know, if you can have that kind of effect on people this many decades later, you've done something right. Because we're 40 years later, we're rewatching it. We've seen this movie multiple times, and everyone's still getting emotional from it. That is good filmmaking. I don't care what anybody says. That's just great filmmaking. So we say hello to Penny. Penny's here. The grandkids just left. That's great. Awesome time to have time with them. And Lady Miss is in the house. Great to see her. Awesome. Great to have you with us. So Fred's pointing out that Gnark is a scary villain. Indeed. So for sure. Love everybody just chit-chatting sounds. Well, he is Spawn, so that's why he would sound like Spawn. So, yeah, I know. Yeah, for sure. Great hero, terrible stable boy. Oh boy. Yeah. So there's a mini series called Tales from the NeverEnding Story, and in that series they made Exide and the Empress into siblings. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what was the original book, because this is one of the issues with the film was some pushback from the author about changes that they made. Sadder than when we all had horses and the Cyclops. Yeah. So it is, a lot of changes in the book that the author and he were going back and forth about. They'd already kind of signed control, but Wolfgang Petersen kind of stuck to his guns over the story, and we're all the better for it. I'm not. I haven't watched any of the film story. Have you guys any of you watched any of the series that he's talking about?
No.
At one point, I probably did, but it was once, and I barely remember it. So
I've seen the sequels. They're not as good.
No.
And I like the kid in the second movie. I liked him. I was a big fan of his when I was a kid, because I was growing up at the same time he was.
Yeah.
He's in the Sidekicks movie. He ended up passing away when he was younger. He was in Sequest and a couple other things.
Oh, that's interesting.
Even with him in it, it's.
I think I remember more taking. I definitely remember vividly my mom wanting me to take my sister to the theater to see the second NeverEnding Story, and she knew the kid from one of her soaps. I don't know, one of the soaps, and he'd been on Wonder Years or something. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll take her. And of course, I was like, all right, listen, if the horse dies in this one too, you cry, that's fine, but no like weeping and hop like out loud. You gotta, be under control. So Jacob Ironside's popping in. Great to see him. And let's see here.
I have to go rewatch the sequel, but I feel like just at premise, I feel like they probably wanted to course correct from just how sad this movie is, even though it's sort of the core premise of the movie. It is about a sad kid who's having to learn to come to terms with the loss of his mother.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even remember the sequel enough to really totally be fair and speak out on it. It's just been too long.
Some crazy lady wants to take over Fantasia, uses Sebastian to make wishes and make him like forget everything so she can take over everything and gets all the power.
It's Jack Black too, right?
Oh, that was the third.
That's the third one. Okay.
Yeah. Also, the third one has the rock fighters singing "Born to Be Wild."
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think
I motor running.
Oh boy. Fred lists off some 1984's 1940 greatness. We've talked about some of these here on the show. Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Star Trek 3. Of course, Freddy Krueger is a Nightmare on Elm Street. You forgot the most important one there, Fred. Probably the number one would be, arguably with Ghostbusters, but would be Terminator. So, 84 is very, very solid for sure.
I've time and time again, I've said it might be up there as potentially the best year of the 80s.
It's almost as good, but yeah, it's really. I think it depends on how you want to treat Nightmare on Elm Street versus The Thing and something like that. Like I think it's that kind of competition with those type of movies. But Star Trek 3 versus Star Trek 2, and you have So there's a lot of interesting things from 1982, 1984. But listen, it's glorious times. It's glorious times.
The thing is, right? Once it's like, yes, we can sit here and say, yes, objectively, Star Trek 2 is better than Star Trek 3. But when you start like bullet point listing 1, 2, boom, 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 it's like, okay, I can see what the argument is made, which isn't to say 83 was a bad year, but I give the edge to 84.
82, not 83, but I see what you're saying. You're fine. All right, back to our story. We move Atreyu through his little journey, and then we get to basically one of the most iconic things that people know, even if they don't know much about the movie, right? I think, Luis, I think it's fair to say people know of the character. I don't think they know what to call him. Falkor's known by his look. I think people will probably call him a flying dog and the white dog thing, and they'll just
he's a luck dragon.
I know he's a luck dragon, but I don't think normies.
It's in the film.
Yeah, I know.
Luck dragon.
I don't know, Pops. I think Falkor has managed to plant himself into pop culture well enough that if you were to go and ask people on the street, do you know what a luck dragon is? They would probably get it. And even if they don't, you might have to say it was Falkor. I think people would know it enough.
Interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Loki? I don't think so. I think normies are just too dense. They don't pay attention to those kind of details.
I think if they saw it, they'd know what it is, but I don't know if they'd know the name of it.
Yeah.
I think if they saw it.
I think if you gave them multiple choice, they'd match it up. You know what I mean? If we did like who's like the Millionaire Show where you have like A, B, C, D, you set Luck Dragon as an option, like what is Falkor or whatever, they would get that. But I think off the top of their heads, I don't know. Interesting. But it's clear that he's made an impression on a generation and the generation's kids. I don't know about my grands for sure. I'd be interested to see if they would know. You have to watch and I'll have to test Ironcaster's theory a little bit about that for sure. I don't know. Their mom, my daughter, has surprised me sometimes with how many times they've seen certain films. So I have a granddaughter who's really into like the first Addams Family live action movie, which I didn't know. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't see that coming. But she just likes the characters and just likes the story. And so, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it over other stuff that they get kids these days. I don't have grandkids that are like traditional kids anyway, so it's fine. It makes it definitely tracks. So I will again say just the animatronics and the special effects are just still phenomenal. Luis, how does it feel knowing that this was just like an actual thing? Like it exists. People go and see something and they go take pictures with it. It's like an actual physical giant puppet thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's lovely. Who did not want to ride on Falkor? That would have been everybody's first wish watching that film. I mean, it was like a team of people all working together to make him move. But
you watched the special thing on him. Did it because you've watched that more recently than I've watched any of that kind of stuff? How many puppeteers do you remember any of the details on how to make him come alive? Because I don't remember any of the details.
There were about 10 on his face, and then there were more for the other parts. And they had the track of him speaking, and then they had to train together so that they all moved it in one. And one of the things the director said, because they asked him, did you know this was going to be special? And he said, look, we didn't touch it up after. We couldn't do that. We saw that happen. It was real. And yes, we knew, because it was amazing to watch in real time. That was there. It was physical, and that conversation happened. So yeah, who didn't want to be there? Well,
he has Alan Oppenheimer has kind of been one of those guys that most people don't give credit to for the voice work. A lot of times also he is getting a role after someone else. Like he is a Skeletor, but he's not the Skeletor in the main He-Man Masters of the Universe. He came along later for like one of the Christmas specials and stuff like that. He works just tons of different roles through I mean, even into like Toy Story 4, even that recently, I was kind of surprised. I kind of jotted that down. He lived to he's still living. He's in his 90s now. He's born 1930, so still going. He's at 95. So yeah, don't forget old Alan Oppenheimer when you run down your list of crazy performers and TV legacy and voice acting and just tons of stuff, especially back in the heyday of Hanna-Barbera. And yeah, it's a long list. Ironcaster could probably pull up the list and we'll just go through some of the credits. But yeah, Falkor would probably be one of the things he'd be most associated with because, as we were discussing, just an iconic character. Is there anything Falkor in the great Loki library of merch and memorabilia and such, my friend?
Nope.
I wasn't sure.
If I was going to get anything from this movie, it would be the 2 statues that shoot the laser eyes out later in the movie after he meets Falkor.
You don't want the snake pendant?
No, I'll take the 2 big statues, and I want to like life size. I want to put them in my backyard and have people flip out and freak out because I've got these 2 giant statues with laser beams that shoot out of their eyes when someone passes them. Yes.
Or hear me out, Loki. Hear me out. You put them on the front lawn, and then when people come by to solicit you, or when kids or the naughty kids come up for Halloween, you can tap them.
Yeah. God bothers too. Yes.
I knew Louise, you'd be laughing. It really shouldn't surprise us that Loki wants something that involves lasers, right? I just need some freaking lasers on my statues, please. Yes. Yeah. It's some good stuff. Good stuff. Get some glowing lights going and see what happens next. Yeah. Good stuff for sure. Atreyu's adventure, laser beams, statues makes us happy. Makes us very happy. So, folks, you guys in chat, you guys have a favorite character or someone that really jumps out at you that you want to talk about? Just feel free to drop that in the comments there so we can jump to it, make sure we get it. So, it is such a fun adventure to go on with the twists and turns, and that it's a little boy reading everything, and it's his version, his imagination that's piecing everything together, what everything looks like. I think that really is one of the things that makes it special for me because we micromanage book adaptations, but they kind of get a little bit of a pass, right? Because if another boy reads the same book, you could have different versions of things, little modifications. Maybe some of the specifics are not exactly the same, but the spirit of everything here is just spelled out so wonderfully.
Well, and look at what happens in the swamp with Artax.
Mm-hmm.
He's creating that. That is his sense of helplessness, that he cannot do anything, that he cannot convince someone to get their act together, to get their head straight. That is the representation of sometimes people are going to do something stupid and there is nothing you can do to help them. That you can grab them by the reins, you can try and pull them out of despair, you can try and pull them out of depression, but if they don't want to move and they just want to be swallowed by the swamp, that's exactly what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, you cannot force them to keep going. That's heavy for a kid.
Yeah,
that's why that scene it hit Generation X so hard when they saw it, is because there's nothing you can do about that. That's a huge realization when you're a kid, and it makes me wonder what happened to his mom. If he's thinking that, if he's creating that, if that's part of the trial that Atreyu has to go through. Because this is Sebastian creating this world out of everything that's inside of it. Where is that coming from?
Yeah, Ironcaster, what is your thoughts, man? This is one of the heavier moments, right?
No, absolutely. And that, like I said, you're right, Loki. This is essentially the core of the whole thing. Because as much as he's reading the book is reading him. It's creating the world through which he's able to process his own trauma, even though he's a child. He doesn't realize this at all. and that's what makes it work so well. It's a simple premise that anyone can understand. This is a child having to learn to come to terms with not only death, but the death of someone he loves so close and personal. And what better way to convey that? It's it's so easy to understand how to be in that place.
Yeah, I felt so much more powerful, and as we get older and we're able to sort of like dissect and evaluate and kind of better understand it, like you said, putting two and two together with it is Bastian manifesting his bottled up mourning that he'd have for the loss of his mom. All that's going to come out as well. I don't even know if we can do justice, sort of like the way that the film is shot as well, with the filmmaking. Just obviously the dooming gloom of the swamp, and then Atreyu leading Bastian to just kind of break, and then Atreyu has to kind of keep going on his journey. So really, really powerful stuff, and just makes it all such an enjoyable ride for sure, even though it is an emotional one for sure. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but how can I not want to? I clicked on the shot and it shows the flying. At least you're talking about wanting to take pictures, jump on the back. This is the fantasy, right? You'll just go for a ride.
Yeah, sure.
And it's so neat, especially in this movie where there's all these sad and deep themes throughout it, that they had these little bits of levity to help bring us back, and especially for the kid to be reminded that there can be fun, there can be hope after these tragedies. It doesn't make those ever truly go away, but you are able to have fun again. That you can be allowed to. You can give yourself that permission to be able to have that fun. You muted.
Yeah.
You can go back to living.
Right. And you were talking about some of that stuff with the generation, our generation in particular. The statues are brought up again here. Fred brings the statues up again because it's so scary. It destroys everything. And you start to wonder, like, man, he really, really was dealing with some serious, heavy issues for everyone, right? Dealing with loss and mourning and overcoming something that could kill you and trying to just keep carrying on in a journey. And so it's definitely a heavier movie, if, like I said, as you get older and kind of get your head around that depth, what makes it so good. And maybe that's why it's lived on so long. It's just got so much more credit to its impact on us personally. You know what I mean? It's not just some cheap looking, popcorn flares kind of thrown out there. It's this incredible world with all these deep. This is what fantasy's done right, guys. Right? This is why we love fantasy. It's such a great way to communicate those type of things. Yeah, phenomenal. Jacob's pointing out, the flying dog. See, the horse in the mud. Those things people remember. I know. Flying dog. You said it.
But people remember it.
Yes, they do. The theme song. I know the theme song. We'll get to the theme song. The theme song. I guess we just get it out of the way. How long after you watch this movie is the theme song still stuck in your head?
It's a bit of a shame that I have gone years without hearing this movie, without hearing this song, but I hit play and I suddenly remembered, oh, that's right, and I was taken right back, and I've been kind of riding off of it and just feeling nostalgic and good. I'm like, oh, this brings me back.
You can go years without hearing this song and hear someone humming it, know every single word to it, every little beat, every pause, you'll be singing it the rest of the day.
Rest of the day for sure. Yeah. How about you, Luis? You hear this? You see this movie? How long's that song stuck in your head?
I don't know, what's it been? 30, 45 years? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't take much to send off the cue, right, for it to go. And again, this is that moment, like the Stranger Things. It's the kind of the curse of watching that season of Stranger Things. With the ending, they played the song, they start singing the song, and it's
Yep.
like, ah, crap, you guys got that stuff stuck in my head. Like, you guys messing with me, man. Yeah,
And
for
it took off in the charts all over again, all because of that one thing in Stranger Things. And the same thing happened with Running
Master
Up That
Puppets.
Hill
Yeah, Master Puppets too.
and Master of Puppets.
That's, I think, what's been lost in the last season was the music connection. They didn't have it right at all. Really
I've
messed
got
up
the
on it.
I've got the soundtrack to that already because
Yeah.
I had pre-ordered the damn vinyl like an idiot, and there's just nothing there that we haven't heard in any other season.
Well, and you also get stuff that doesn't even resonate right. Like they played like ABBA in a fight scene. It was so out of place, so messed up. It's just, Tiffany, think you're alone now. And I'm like, oh, geez, this is terrible. You guys are really missing the mark on all this. But yeah, Soul Assassin said he had never seen the movie, but wants a dragon dog. Get you. A luck dragon dog, Soul Assassin? Question mark. Just saying. DJ Ronnie G is here. Great to see you, brother. Hope you're doing all right. Soul Assassin saying that something about the 80s, they were hitting hard with the fantasy sci-fi genres. Y'all Gen Xers had it awesome. I know, man. See, I don't think that there's a way to kind of explain that for some folks because they just don't get it. It wasn't their thing, right? But from like Excalibur forward, man, it rocks and rolls through fantasy and sci-fi. You really, really level up. I mean, it starts before then, obviously. We get into the 70s. You obviously have the stuff that leads into Star Wars. We go back as far as like Westworld and Andromeda Strain and all that kind of stuff. When you found out later, you didn't find out that was before, I was too young to have seen all that until Star Wars. But I remember Logan's Run. I remember some of that stuff. We're going to talk about that in a few weeks. And yeah, it was nonstop. Fantasy, sci-fi, and horror was the three big things that kind of overtook everything, to be honest, for us. We enjoyed a good comedy for sure, but it's the other stuff that was just really the driving force for sure. Yeah, I think, and they have multiple shots and multiple scenes of the flying that take you through different colors, which I think was also interesting on the rewatch for me. Was they didn't shy away from what was easy. You know what I mean? They're like really playing with light colors, and they go to muted colors. They have blues and they have oranges, all sorts of stuff that they play around with before we keep going on with the journey as the nothing is closing in to take over everything. So, okay.
I think there's sort of a beauty to it, and ingeniousness to it that ultimately it is on our. I keep forgetting his name. Artax.
Artax.
Artax is a boy.
Atreyu.
Bastian.
Bastian. Okay. Yes, the child, the boy. Mm-hmm.
That for Bastian, it's him having to learn to come to terms with this, and there's no. He doesn't have the adult over his shoulder trying to force him to come to terms with stuff. It's the story itself. It's him, effectively all him, having to learn to deal with it. And that's it's so unlike anything else you would see, or you would have to see, a person comes along to be the an emotional support to him when ultimately this is, like I said, he learning with this himself, and that's what I think makes it work so well. What I really appreciate.
But this is, and Luis, speak to, like, this is a little bit of the Gen X thing, right? It's like it's the buck up mentality that we had at the opening of the movie, like buck up. And this movie is a way of them like coaching Gen Xers to use their imagination and realize that you can endure and give you some role models and give you some tragedy to overcome and realize that you don't die from it. And the movie really is catapulting that mindset through its audience when it dropped.
And I have to be honest, I wasn't thinking that when I was watching it the first time. That's something that like I can apply to it now. But I think it did have a massive effect on us. That all this stuff was inspiring. It was all about, you know, being better, standing up for what you believe, and keep going, and, you know, accept it but deal with it. All of those things still had that impact on us because it was there, and that was it. It helped shape how we think. But I certainly wasn't analysing it. In fact, I think for most of it, I was thinking, if the horse doesn't come back, I will never watch this film again. So, you know.
Yeah. But I think like, you know, Loki, we talked about Karate Kid also the same year, right? Dealing with bullies, how to overcome. Sure, there is more of a hands-on mentorship thing that happens there. It's a completely different approach, but it really is layering that type of stuff that Ironcaster was talking about, and that we've talked about a little bit here loosely, is that this movie is really almost like programming the Gen Xers and all of us latchkey kids and the ones that are just a little bit younger than us and the ones that are going to come right behind us of like, yeah, you guys will be all right. You'll figure it out. Like, you go on an adventure, read a book. You won't die from your trauma. Sure, your mom died, but you know what? You'll be okay. You'll be all right.
And it's not just like you said, it's, you know, you've got this, you've got Karate Kid, you've got Pump Up the Volume, you have got a ton of these movies that are like, hey, you know what? It could be worse, you little shit. So just deal with life. This is what you're gonna have to go through. Be prepared for it, which is totally the opposite of what happens now. Now it's hand holding and everybody's a winner and don't worry. And I mean, you had to deal with it. Listen, this is the stuff that's gonna happen. And it can easily happen to you. So be ready for it. Be ready to deal with it. This is life. That's the lesson we used to have.
Yeah, E.T. would probably be another one I'd throw in there. E.T. was very traumatizing. My, you know, I was a little bit younger. That's 82. But again, sisters clawing her eyes out. What's that one?
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, but just the trauma. He's got to leave, right? He abandons you and starts crying. Everybody's crying or whatever, gets emotional about that. Land Before Time, which is a cartoon that comes out a little after this, but that's also another one. A lot of emotions, man. So you have a decade of pretty hard, hit you in the feels. I think Transformers was devastating, right? But I think what you're saying, Louise, is 100% right. There's no safe space. There's no, this is all about just tough love type stuff. And I'm with you. I didn't really pay attention to those kind of meaning really impacts of it, but in hindsight I realized, oh yeah, it was really messing with us a little bit for sure. Let's see, where should we go? Let's go back to the creature. So if there's one spot, I think it's sad that Falkor, because he looks so good, this looks less impressive. They did the best they could though, because they keep it in the cave. They don't have a ton of stuff going on with it, but there is also other stuff like the way that nostrils move and the eyes move. They were doing some really impressive puppeteering work and stuff like that. I have no idea. They had to have had a whole bunch of team members on this as well. This is not something that would have been easy to do, because I mean, this is 84, so you're talking about 83. You're talking at least 5 or 6 years before Ninja's Hurdle type stuff. And that was still like remote controls for just the face. So this had to have been probably 6 to 10 people doing the puppeteering on this. So
it doesn't look as good in stills as it does when it's moving.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're actually watching the film, a lot of the shots look a lot better. And as I say, it still stands up against the rabid chihuahuas in Rings of Power.
Oh my, you watched Rings of
Power. This scared the shit out of you when you were a kid. That scared the shit out of you when you were like 6 years old, if you saw that. You see that big wolf and you're just, your mind does exactly what this book does. It just takes you there as a kid. So
that's true.
That wolf scared that, and anybody that was like, oh, I wasn't scared. Yeah, my ass.
You're just like, give me the white flying dog again, please. Yeah, that's what they do.
Give me the flying fluffy luck dragon, please.
Yes.
with
That's what they do.
sparkly scales.
Yes. Yeah. But some great shots, some great stuff. A lot of heroism. Even like a little boy, you can be a hero too. I think that is also part of that metaphor that we're talking about, that tough love of like, even though you're a kid, you can be heroic. You can stand up for the right things. You can do the right things, that kind of stuff. That resonates a lot with you, Ironcaster, through this, watching this again. You feel like that's the stuff they kind of were trying to convey and get through, because I think that's one of the things the book definitely had done well, and the director is trying to communicate. What do you think?
I think it's a bit of a shame that the movie itself was only half the book.
Yes. Yeah, very small part.
Because rewatching it, it really does feel like there is so much more that should have been here. That while it does sort of wrap it up, in rewatching it here, was really thinking about that. I felt like there should be more to the movie than there is.
It's quick. It's a quick movie.
Yeah, it's like 90 minutes and you're out. And I remember critics would kind of bag on the movie back in the day, and it wasn't really well received and thought of in a lot of ways, but his aged so well because of all this, the backbone of all these messaging in the fantasy world and wanting more. If anybody's seen any of the TV stuff or any of the other stuff that expands the universe, just let me know if any of it's even worth considering. I've not even considered having my world ruined with the other stuff, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. I don't know. What about you? We briefly touched on it. Any of you really done any of the other stuff to know? Did they do more?
If you absolutely positively have to watch anything else, just watch the second movie and stop there.
Yeah.
And go, now I understand why we do not continue. It's like Highlander. You see Highlander and then you're like, wow, there's a second movie. Okay, I'm gonna rush out to the video store and get it. Then you get home and you go, what in the shit happened?
You keep bringing it up. You keep bringing up my trauma with Highlander 2. The Highlander TV show is less traumatic for me than the Highlander 2. And
that movie is terrible, but it's a dumb kind of fun.
No, it's not dumb.
It was a movie I look forward to talking about with you guys because of how bad it is.
Michael Ironside was not Kurgan.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Louise.
I was just going to say the NeverEnding Story 2 isn't as bad as Highlander 2. Just to be 100%.
Thank you, yes. Louise. Thank you.
Yes, that is true. But if you have to have something more, if you're like, Loki, I've got to see what's next. Watch the second movie and stop there and go, okay, I get it. It wasn't like stage 9 bad, but it's bad enough that you're like, okay, I get it. No more. There's some things that are okay, but everybody's different. All the actors and nobody comes back. So just let it go. Let it go.
I don't know when we've watched NeverEnding Story 2. We have it. It's like a package disc thing we have, and it's on there. But she doesn't want to watch that one, so I know it's not good. And I know we may have watched it. I want to say whenever my oldest grandson was like 5 or 6. It's been several years ago, and I think it might have even been right before we moved. So it might have been like, we're talking like 2018, 2019 kind of thing. But I compare all that and line it all up to Highlander 2. Here's my Highlander 2.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. It's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
That's right. It's just dumb.
It's just dumb. Sorry. Yeah. All right. What else should we touch on with this? I mean, obviously, we get back to more great visuals at the end of the movie, so we get a little bit more of the stuff that we just really loving. This kind of stuff.
That's out in space. That's out in space.
Yeah, it looks so good. Yeah. This is a practical thing, guys. This wasn't like CGI'd in. This is a practical thing to pull all this off. So here's our little princess, our sad princess. Needs a name. The other space stuff. Gotta say the name. Bastian, you gotta believe. Look at the crying. Getting you. And then we have our happy ending. We get our we get our fantasy. Our fantasy comes true. Everything works out in the end, doesn't it, Louise?
Yep, just as it should. for a kids movie.
So don't watch the second movie and find out what happens after that.
No, we're not doing that.
Louise, honestly, though, the second movie is just it's just a bad film. It's not like it is now. It's not deconstructed. It's not terrible. It's not going to ruin your childhood or anything like that. It's just not good.
Yeah.
You know, in the way, you know, old sequels were not good.
They tried, but you can tell it. Yeah. They were like, hey, let's go with this person instead of the original actor.
But Loki can vouch for me. Luis, if you want to send me an actual picture, I can do a little face swap and put you on here so you can have the I flew on Falkor experience if you like. Let's plug it in there for private use only, private only for you. But yeah, we could definitely make that happen. So yeah. Oh man, what a fun ride to kind of navigate through. What else should we touch on real quick? I want to go back a while. One of my favorite puppets is one we skipped over. I love this guy.
The turtle.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. I really do. I really love this sequence. I think it's just really good how they filmed it. It's all in the dark. It's all in the gray. You hide all your mistakes, everything, and then just the scale and all is all work. It just works so well. I think it's great. Yeah, that just looks great. Combining everything they do with matte painting type stuff, it just looks really good. So yeah, that's one of my favorite parts I didn't touch on. I really enjoy that part. What are you gonna say?
I was just agreeing with you.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Awesome turtle. And
Turtle.
mouthy too. He just wants to go back to sleep. It's like Godzilla. That's probably why you like him. It's because he's giant. He's a turtle. And he's like, I just want to go back to sleep. Leave me alone. Godzilla does it every time they piss him off. It's like, oh, we sent nuclear submarine for Godzilla. You woke me up. Now all of Tokyo is going down. Well,
yep.
Sebastian kept getting thrown off that tree, or Atreyu, because he woke the turtle up.
Good point. This set is very strange. I spent a lot of time when I was going back and looking at the shot. I don't really totally get the sort of, I guess it's like a wedding gown and stuff on the right. There's a lot of weird props in here. There's like a skeleton on the other side. I guess we're in some sort of attic of a school, but I don't remember a school having this type of stuff in their attic. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Don't know why they have a wedding dress and the costume. The skeleton I kind of get, even though it would be, so back then we'd have those in our science class and they would be on this like rolling metal rack. It had like four little legs and like a straight arm that go up and they had like a little hook, and that's where the skeleton was sort of like suspended from for like a science class or something like that. Don't know why that's in the attic, but it is. Don't totally
You know
get
what
the
it
attic.
reminded me of?
What's it remind you of?
It reminds me of the last scene in The Thing, John Carpenter's thing.
Mm-hmm.
When he's down in the basement, remember all that crap that was down in the basement? They had like empty packs of cigarettes on a shelf. They had all these little cans. They had piles of just junk down in the basement at the end of The Thing. And we talked about how someone put all that there.
Yep.
Someone was, and they walked through there and they said, you know what? This is good. This is the way I want it. They did, I guarantee you, they did the exact same thing. They set everything up. Okay, I want this here. I want this in this shot. I want people to be able to see this. I want people to be able to see the skull on top of the shelf. And that's that. Everything that you're seeing in there is there for a reason, just like in The Thing. And that's something that they can't do today with green screen and blue screen and 360-degree video sets. It's not as hands-on and creative, and this is what I want it to look like. Make it happen.
They did say that they wanted the Bastian scenes to not reflect the sort of European heritage. They were trying to make it more what they thought a more generic US type thing would be. So maybe that's what they think is in American schools.
Okay, that's very fair. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, I would wonder where they kind of got their ideas from, because it was that's one of the weirdest parts. It's supposed to be in the attic of his school. He snuck away, and I don't. It feels like the remnants of an abandoned school's theater department's storage area. So you mean like if you imagine a giant school that was like shut down or something, and then we went there and found it like decades later. That's what it kind of reminded. Okay, this is what it kind of might look like. Because it was true. Like you would have storage stuff. Even the one I worked for in college was small, wasn't anything this big. But the premise aligns more with that.
That's sort of what I assumed they were going to go. They were trying to go for with it, but I mean, it just looks like an attic.
Yeah, just a regular attic, right?
Yeah, like not even from a school. It's like, what the heck, school, what public school is going to have like a wolf's head?
There's a lot of crazy stuff in this attic, that's for sure. Yeah.
They did say as well that that scene was supposed to be longer, so it was supposed to pan across the empty attic before Bastian walks into it. So you would have got a better look at it. And it was one of the things that Steven Spielberg told him to cut, because they had to make it 7 minutes shorter for the US release, and it had to be a success in the US because of the budget. So Steven Spielberg helped him cut it. So otherwise we might have seen a bit more of that attic.
That's fair. In the earlier shot, like you can see like half a skull in the background. So I don't know what kind of attic they think we have. This is supposed to be, I guess, the science department, because those are giant flasks. There's a couple of flasks, and so he's way too young for this type of stuff to be in their attic. But hey, it's okay. Cool, interesting. Ironcaster, what surprises you the most about rewatching this movie 40 years later?
I guess just for me, it's gonna be that initial story, as I've I've gone back and hit on numerous times. There's so much of the movie that has always kind of stuck with me. Like, of course, there's the swamp scene and the luck dragon. There's those big moments that really have gone with me and so many other people for years and years, decades, and we still think about these things. But it is it is the kid, it's his story. Thinking about that's the part that's really stuck with me here. And also kind of thinking and wondering, just that idea of like how much of this is all because of him, or the question of like how much of it is like this is the actual world of Fantasia and we are seeing him getting sucked into it and his influence onto that world.
Yeah, that's all fair. Very fair indeed, because I would have said you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, because I was even more surprised Mrs. Pops' reaction to this sequence. Like, she was really emotional and whatever, and I'm like, again, I'm not trying to be like I was some like cool kid. I was just a little bit older, so it just didn't hit me as hard. And then I called Loki. We're talking about this movie, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I was riding all the time into horses and whatever." And I'm like, "Oh crap, this is really still way bigger than I kind of even imagined." If you, I mean, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, this is a big deal. Everybody's gonna remember this." Obviously, you said Left Dragon, but I was like, "Oh, it's even bigger than I thought." So 40 years later, man, when you're still talking about bringing people, getting poor Louise to cry again, I mean, that's something. That really is. So, are you an easy crier, Louise? Did they have to work at it?
I'm not really.
Yeah.
I generally get more emotionally involved with a book than a film, so the ones that get me are good.
That's really good to know. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, the animal stuff really hit hard. My wife was just, yeah, that was rough. I was that, and then I think it has those 2 or 3 things of elements that everyone kind of relates to and can connect to. But I do think that that's enough to get there. And once you start watching this film and you start walking yourself through that fantastical land, and I think that's what you're saying, Ironcaster, when you're going through all this stuff and you're experiencing all these different creatures, it is just such a remarkable experience and immersion into everything. It's by far the thing that I'm still really in awe of, is real puppets, real puppeteering, real set design, the way it's lit. We're talking about the lighting, and that's I mean, it's really remarkable. Look at the difference in the contrast of how they do everything. Really done well before you even get to some of these shots. And I don't know, I think it's kind of an underrated film in a lot of ways. I know that seems kind of weird. We're talking about something on its 40th anniversary. We're still talking about it. So how underrated can it be? But did it make much money? I don't know. It was a huge success. I mean, $100 million in the US. So that's definitely a lot of money. That's 4x for them. That's good money. Critics, let's see. Critics were like, I remember the critics being kind of, see, 3 out of 4. Ebert's 3 out of 4. Some different stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I think it definitely is a film that's aging well because of the meaning and the oomph behind everything that we talked about, for sure. So we'll say hi to Zach. Zach pops in here. Great to see Zach's. And today's the day that my conversation with Zach's about RRR dropped. So our first big conversation that I've added to my series I'm working on this year about the best films of the 2020s. So we had our first conversation about one of those, and that was RRR. So that drops today with him. So feel free to check that out if you can. I was kind of saying, Ironcaster, that I think in a lot of ways, because of the messaging that we talked about, those big milestone moments and things like that, the film is kind of underrated. You know, I don't think I really can change my score from like a 3.5. I think it's kind of where I'm landing with this movie. It's like a 3.5 out of 5 for me. It's a 7. But I feel it's so cemented there because its legacy could only get stronger. Like it's got such great meaning and depth of in that fantasy journey. And like you said, Luis, you didn't get it when we were younger, and I'm with you. But as I've gotten older, man, yeah, it's really good stuff. So, Loki, we talked about it before we did the show and stuff. What was some of the things that kind of the legacy of it that surprises you? Like you're still surprised 40 years later. It's been 40 years, and this movie still hitting this pretty hard, man.
And it still hits just as hard as it did when you were a kid. Yeah. And putting it on, it's like a comfort movie. So it's one of those movies you can watch and you can go to the theater and rewatch, and just like Ninja Turtles and Transformers and Lord of the Rings, and there's so many really, really good movies you can just go back to the theater and watch again. I watched this last time I watched this before recently was during the coup during COVID. And I saw it in the movie theater. They were doing old movies every Tuesday or something. And I went and saw Alien before they came out with a 4K release. I saw it again when they did the 4K release. And this movie and a couple other older movies. Go see it if you can. If you have an Alamo near you or a B&B or whatever they call it, wherever you're at, check and see when they're showing old movies. You may catch this in the theater. It's worth paying the money for and going back and seeing all over again.
Yeah, I mean, I love this theatrical. We just found another theater near us. It's sadly near the college town, so I got to go into the college town, which is not what I want to do. Look, he's laughing because he knows. Oh dear Lord, he's got to go near other people. Yeah. But literally every week they have an old film. Now, again, they do everything. I gave them credit too. It's across all of the genres. So they're really doing, they'll do a sci-fi fantasy movie. The next week they'll do a rom-com. So they're doing a great job of just giving everybody a nice eclectic diet across the decades. And that's what you should do as a theater. You shouldn't try to pigeonhole. Don't get lectury. Don't get all weird. Just do your thing. And a theatrical experience is how these things were made to be delivered, and it's a great chance to go see it. Cash, have you ever had a chance to see a special screening of one of NeverEnding Story or anything like that?
Not for the NeverEnding Story, though. I always do try to keep an eye out or keep an ear open for what special films are coming back. A couple of the highlights I've been able to do were stuff like seeing Batman '89 on the theaters, like the week before the Suicide Squad. A couple weeks ago, I went and saw The Fellowship of the Rings in theaters for the first time, and for the first time since it originally aired some 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, 2001.
How time flies. And that is one of my favorite things to do, because there are movies that, as much as I enjoy them, I want to experience them on the big screen. There are movies you want that group experience for, because there's a distinct energy to that crowd, to the people laughing together at the right jokes, because a comedy movie is so much better when it's on the big screen. The epic is so much better when people are going to be cheering, when the people are going to stand up and applaud after a movie.
Luis, have you been able to take any re-screenings or anything like that of some of our nostalgic favorites, or done any of those kind of experiences?
And Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Did you get to see when they re-released? Not this last time. I didn't go see them recently, but when they did the first 4K release for Lord of the Rings, I dragged Eris to all three of them, and I made sure we were in IMAX. I was like, we're gonna get the IMAX showing. I think they only did one of those a day. You had to see them on different days, so we went on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday to see all three. But it's like, when are you going to get to do that again? When are you going to get to see all of them all over again in theaters, especially with somebody? When you drag someone's ass to a theater to see something, when are you going to get to do that again?
Yeah, you guys in chat, is there any special screenings that you've been able to take in and be able to re-enjoy? We're discussing Pretty in Pink pretty hard right now because Valentine's Day is coming up, and it's got a special screening for Valentine's Day. I was pretty surprised at her desire to see Pretty Pink. I was like, oh, it's kind of my least favorite of some of those. Like, I don't care. I mean, I'm a 16 Candles Ferris Bueller kind of guy, but we'll see. My friend's wife started glow. I mean, she lit up at the idea of seeing Pretty Pink at a theater. So that's a good chance. And like you said, IRONCASTER, it's a chance to have the tribal experience of us all laughing and smiling and getting emotional. It's the same thing. So we just don't do enough. We've lost that experience, and it's something we can cling to through classics, and hopefully over time there'll be a few good ones that are recent that we can enjoy as well. But let's
see. So March 13th, Fathom Events has Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, my grandson's. What is the date on that, by the way? I got to write that down.
March 13th through 19th.
I got to take him. That's his. So surprised. I have I have the box set and the TV shows. I have all this stuff, and you know what? He picks it up. He picks it up and wants to watch that second one every single time. And I'm like, dude, what? Can we just? But that's the one I want to watch. I'm like, oh crap, because we let them pick. We do let them pick, but it's like, oh my gosh. So
you got to go try and track down that 2003 series.
I have to look and see which one we have. We have a couple different series, so I have to see. They're like box sets, so I don't know the dates as well as I know the pictures on the boxes. Sorry, I know that's ridiculous, but thank you. Great to see you, Nas. Great to see you, brother. Hope you're doing all right, man. Favorite movie, Legally Blonde. Fair enough. That actually did screen on a special screening a couple years ago. I remember seeing that on the list. But the list I was giving you earlier, I had to pull it up. It's not just Fathom Events. They're screening all sorts of stuff in addition to the Fathom Events, and they had they just played Godfather and Godfather 2, and I was like, oh man, I wish I knew about this place a month or two ago. I didn't know. So
I had no idea. It's not my fault.
Yeah, Loki's going to come and stay at the farm. We're just going to just strip away the plans and just bring you guys here, and just like we're going to go every night every week. We're going to go over to the school and go see some movies.
We'll just
it's a college town, so they got good takeout. They have good takeout. If it's a college town, get some really good
It is-
takeout on the way home, and
It is 100%. They still have like the Krispy Kreme, the lights hot with the donuts. They still have like the greasy giant Gumby's pizzas. They still have all the college. Yeah, it's all the college stereotypes that we just drove through there for something else and was like, oh yeah, this is nothing. Not much has changed in that way. So,
And hey, worst case scenario, we'll just go get a projector.
I'm not in charge of salaries, Nos, but we'll keep you in mind. Yeah, let me know.
well, I actually been working on that because I've got a projector. I just got to get the right sound system hooked up. Yeah, I went and spent the money on a 4K projector. So,
Oh, all right, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't think the thing we did was 4K, but yeah, we've definitely done a couple of those. So anyway,
it's like a 250 something inch screen.
Wow, cool.
That's big enough for. Yeah, our guys is like, ooh,
Yeah, that's nice.
So,
all right. So how I want to
on the outside of a barn.
Yeah, the one we had we would go on the side of the house. It's not quite that big. I definitely don't know if it's 4K. We watched the Christmas movies. We haven't done any screenings since then. We did a couple Christmas movies. So. All right. So any other comments about legacy or scoring in the film, Ironcaster? You want to discuss that a little bit more before we wrap up?
I mean, the thing is, the legacy of the NeverEnding Story and the nostalgia that all of that is baked into it. And so it's one of those things where it can be difficult to give a score because for a lot of people, it can be difficult to, say, parse that out and separate it from what the film is in for what we have here. You know, I feel like if I were to be objective, if I were to take away, you know, the Falkor, the swamp scene, you know, all those extra little things, and taking it back to, you know, when I saw it and taking all that away, I feel like a solid 7 out of 10 is fair. It's got some great heights. The NeverEnding Story theme song is an earworm of a song forever. But I feel like it's just the ending. It comes a little abrupt, and I really feel like it could have benefited from an extra 30 minutes to try to see if we can get a little more of the book brought into it, or at the very least, I feel like there should have been something at the end where it ends with like with him going back to the store and giving the book back to the old man, and we get this little bit where like maybe the old man knows he took the book.
Well, he definitely knows he took the book because he glances back at him. Remember the way he glances back with a little grin, so he knows the kid took the book. He kind of did all that on purpose, but I don't know, because I think that Luis, you were saying, and you could talk about the film and how you'd kind of score it and how you think about it too, because you were talking about how they were trying to trim this movie down, not add more time. They did it, you know, they're trying to go keep it at 90 minutes or lower, not go over that. So that would be the challenge. But what are your thoughts, Luis?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of the era, isn't it? You didn't get the extra long movies then. So maybe if they'd filmed more and we had a director's cut, that would have been great for today. But back then, hour and a half movie, and that was it. Mm-hmm. I think this is an impossible one to score. It's always going to get a 10 from nostalgia. Is it my absolute favourite from the era? No. There's others of that type, like maybe Labyrinth, that would score higher, but it's degrees. So, you know, I don't like to mark them down based on that.
Yeah.
The one thing that it's not a good thing that I took from this rewatch is the way they describe the nothing is basically modern fantasy. The lack of imagination and people not using their imagination anymore, and it becoming hollow and empty. So slightly disturbed by this one, to be honest, because when we watched it, there was so much out there. You know, and I feel like after Lord of the Rings, maybe they just gave up because yeah, the nothing seems to be sadly real these days. So I don't know where that comes in a score, but it's potentially prophetic.
Well, yeah, I think that's what you're saying, right? You're pointing it out again. This film has so much more depth and elements that it kind of gets credit for because of that, right? Because it just, the story is, dealing with that. It's like, how do you make sure as a kid you don't let your weariness and your mourning and your feeling of loss affect the fact that you still are at the pinnacle of experiencing your human imagination and being hopeful and get out of your depression and your sadness. And now we're in a culture in a place where everybody wants to indulge a lot of that, and like you guys were saying, that it's an epidemic in the entertainment because the entertainment is a reflection of society, and it's part of what we have to, again, the first lyric of the song, turn around, right? So yeah, good points. Final thoughts, Loki?
Megatron gives it an 8.
It is, yeah.
An 8, definitely an 8. Look, it's not just a cult classic, it's a generational cult classic. You've got multiple generations that know what this movie is. There's a reason why Gen X has gone, you know what? I had to deal with this when I was 8. So enjoy, kiddo. And you let them watch it and you let them figure it out. You pass it on to them and they pass it on to somebody else. Hopefully that is enough to open some people's minds and make them go, you know what? A lot of this is kind of DOA. A lot of this is absolute garbage. Look at this. Go back and look at this. I watched this when I was a kid. My parent watched this. Maybe their parent, if you're that young, watched it. Like I said, it's a generational movie. Did they know that it was going to be a generational movie? No. That's why they made it an hour and a half long.
Right.
The time is there because they wanted it as many showings so it could make as much money as possible. That's unfortunately the way it was at the time. And as much as we would love more, we did get more, and it wasn't that great. It definitely wasn't as great as this. So you leave it alone. You don't remake it. You don't modernize it. You don't change anything. Leave it exactly the way it is, and you preserve it. You pass it on to that next generation. And hopefully, God help us, someone sees it and goes, you know what, I want to do something like this, and comes in and maybe they start doing things like this again. They figure out, they go back and they figure out, okay, this is how they did this. This is how they made these weird clouds in Star Trek the Motion Picture. This is how they made this storm and had it rolling out in the NeverEnding Story. And they start doing that instead of just going, hey, Grok, can you make this for me, please?
Yeah.
Maybe some of this will survive for another 100 years.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful, and I'm glad we got this on the schedule because I think Stranger Things at least gave it some attention, and that was some great. That's some of the beauty of some of these definite shows or whatever. At least for a moment, there are some more people aware of this movie and gave it a fair shake and the impact of it. And yeah, sure, they might think of it more as a flying dog, as the comments have proven. But yeah, good stuff. So, all right. Yes, I see y'all in chat. I know. Really? You make that kind of reference for me? Deal with that? And then, of course, IRONCASTER's piling on because that's how I am. For the right price. Yes, I know. I'm going to charge because that's a lot of time. And no, I don't. My wife would be more astute of all of the latest news stories and whatever. And she's like, well, have you done it? No, I don't do that anymore. I don't go search it. I can. There's been stuff that we do. I've sent Loki some links for a while. We were doing stuff on his Wednesday show. I was sending some breaking, interesting, the smut of the news that is out there and easy at my fingertips. But no, not just doing that. So speaking of that, what's Wednesday look like? What's tomorrow morning going to bring to us, my friend?
I am going to be talking to another content creator about how their YouTube journey is going. this will be someone that is kind of a regular on Fridays now. Really good guy. So we'll be talking to him tomorrow. I will have future guest spots open for Wednesday. So it won't just be a Loki's going to rant about someone really dumb. I'm going to try and talk about some people that are really worth talking about and getting out there. Hopefully more people can hear about them, hear about their story, and hear about how they've taken to all this nonsense over on YouTube and Rumble and X and all this other fun stuff. So should be fun.
Looking forward to it. Always great stuff. Caster, my friend, another Mech Monday behind us. Other stuff on the schedule for this week. Tell us what's going on.
There's always something coming up. Of course, Mech Mondays with Mech Pit Chat. We were going through some Beast Wars, having a little bit of fun. We were having some fun delving into Beast Wars, revisiting it, and remembering how much better the show actually was than I remember. And maybe the animation isn't quite as bad as I recall. But let's see. I'll have to reach out to T-shirt. So I think he's got his show coming up in here about an hour or so. Other than that, Friday's jumping in with Loki and hanging out with 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser, talks some classic comics. And of course, the Cotton Council.
Awesome stuff. So, Luis, you're going to be popping back in for us for Logan's Run. You're going to be joining us for that. What else? You got anything else you're going to be doing on the old tube here next little bit?
No, I keep saying I'm going to make another video. But it's a long time coming.
All right. Well, you got to let us know when you do those so we can get out there and support it, check it all out. So, yeah.
Start a new channel and talk about Transformers. That's what I did.
He's entertained and happy, folks. It's fun when I call him and he's talking about happy and joyful things too. So it's great. I encourage everyone to do that. Go find something that makes you happy. So, well, on that note, a little early tonight, folks, but we got a little long. So if you missed the intro, I know IRONCASTER wasn't here for the intro. I don't think he got a chance to see it. He stars in it, so might as well just get right to it, folks. You guys take care, and we'll see you next week. Talk hard. Be blessed. Till next time, I am Pops.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
Holy Testicle Tuesday!
Was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Oh, look at it roll! Now we can watch Jackie Gleason while we eat.
You are invited to enter a world of enchantment, the world of Falkor and Atreyu, Inglewood, and the Rockbiter. I'm very pleased to meet all of you. Creatures of a boy's imagination, brought to life by the magic of the NeverEnding Story. Rated PG. Now playing. Check newspapers for a theater near you.
Okay, I would say if nothing else, every movie would be made better with just having the roided out, uber buff, Asian henchman.
A Bolo-verse is what you're saying.
Didn't I say you when I was in the Vietnams?
Run, Forrest! Run!
Shampoo cleans the hair. No, conditioner is better. I keep the hair gorilla sexy and smooth. Really, Donkey Kong, really.
Hey, you guys!